An ancient secret, and for two women, what could be a last chance. A mother with cancer faces her greatest fear.
Not watching my daughter graduate high school, watching her get married, that frightens me.
Another woman, the same incurable cancer, the darkest hours.
It was killing me. What good is a shrunken tumor, as I think of it, with a body that's lost its vitality and its will to live? I lost my will to live.
Traditional doctors offer little hope, but tonight Dateline travels to this humble clinic halfway around the world with a life or death question. Does ancient medicine have a cure for cancer?
After 1 year, the tumor has not grown. I have not gone back on chemotherapy. And as far as I'm concerned, the Tibetan herbs are working very well.
Is it wishful thinking or medical miracle?
You're not just talking about better quality of life or more time. You are talking about the cancer being gone.
Margaret Larson with the story of a remarkable study and the promising results. Dateline with Jane Pauley and Stone Phillips, plus Tom Brokaw, Katie Couric, and Maria Shriver. From our studios in Rockefeller Center, here is Katie Couric.
Good evening on this first night of a new year, an extraordinary story about hope for the future. If you were desperately ill with just a few years or maybe just a few months to live, how far would you go to find a cure? Would you turn your back on conventional medicine, try something different, trust someone new? Tonight, Dateline brings you the intimate story of two women facing these very questions. For them, Western medicine had no answers, so they looked east, looking for a miracle. What they found would surprise just about everyone. Here's Margaret Larson.
To Western eyes, Tibetan Buddhism is an exotic mix. Part mystery, part ritual. Steps in a lifetime quest for enlightenment. Ancient texts lead the way, some believe, to spiritual growth and physical healing. Tibetan physicians rely on medicines developed thousands of years ago, medicines said to heal diseases for which Western treatment can do nothing. One of those is stage 4 breast cancer, cancer cells that have spread beyond the breast. It's a virtual death sentence in the West. Could it be that Tibetan doctors already have the answers Western researchers still seek?
American doctors who once dismissed Eastern philosophies are now taking a new look at some of the world's oldest medicines. Tonight, the story of a landmark medical trial and the renowned researcher who broke ranks with Western convention to ask a bold question. Could we do a better job fighting stage 4 breast cancer if we explored combining Western technology with the ancient healing arts of the East?
Many of these ancient Oriental medical practices are steeped in centuries of tradition. So it's hard to believe that none of it really is effective.
Dr. Debu Tripathi is the director of clinical trials at the University of California in San Francisco and one of America's leading cancer researchers. He's intrigued by stories of remarkable improvement for cancer patients using Tibetan medicine. Even some American patients with stage 4 breast cancer who had not responded to Western treatment swear the herbs helped.
After 1 year, the tumor has not grown. I have not gone back on chemotherapy. And as far as I'm concerned, the Tibetan herbs are working very well.
But are the stories medical fact or wishful thinking? Determined to find out, Tripathi set up the first ever Western scientific study using Tibetan herbs to treat breast cancer. And he asked one of the foremost Tibetan physicians, a 73-year-old Buddhist monk, Dr. Yeshi Dhonden, for help. A request from a huge research facility in California to a tiny clinic halfway around the world.
This is about as far from an American medical center as you can get. The town of Dharamsala in northern India, where Dr. Dhonden lives and operates his clinic. In the U.S., he might be a curiosity of alternative medicine, but here he is a revered figure, practicing healing arts that date back some 2,600 years, sought after by growing numbers of Westerners who travel halfway around the world just for a few minutes with him.
Dhonden has practiced Tibetan medicine for 40 years, 19 of them as personal physician to the Dalai Lama. He's lectured all over the world, but never had this kind of chance to prove himself in the West. He accepted Debu Tripathi's invitation to treat a handful of American breast cancer patients with nothing more than Tibetan herbs for a full year.
They'll generally feel better. I would expect at the very least that the cancer will be arrested, that it will cease growing.
Dhonden's astonishing claims are as foreign to doctors in the U.S. as his crimson robes and his daily prayers. Nothing about Western sensibilities lends itself to comprehending the mysteries of the East. Why would you take that chance to be potentially discredited, not only personally, but in terms of the effectiveness of Tibetan medicine?
I think it's impossible that careful, open-minded scientific research into Tibetan medicine for breast cancer will indicate that it has no efficacy at all.
How are you doing today?
The study won't admit patients with early-stage cancer who potentially can be cured by existing treatment. It's only open to women with stage 4 breast cancer, considered incurable by Western standards. 11 women sign up. 2 of them allow Dateline to follow along every step of the way to let us see exactly what happens, no matter what the next 12 months might bring. They are both patients and medical pioneers.
Hi, Tony, good boy.
We first met 43-year-old Teresa Wilhelm in June of 1999, a wife and mother of a teenage girl living with cancer for 4 years. It's a battle that has taught her to appreciate every day.
Cancer is a gift to me. It just comes in a really ugly package.
She's had a mastectomy, cancer-fighting hormone treatments, radiation, and 2 rounds of chemotherapy so harsh she lost her hair for a year both times. Her doctor believes it's likely the chemo even damaged her heart, but it certainly failed to conquer her cancer.
What scares you the most?
Not watching my daughter graduate high school, watching her get married. That frightens me.
Her prognosis 2 years ago was less than 5 years survival. Now, her future lies with these little brown pills.
I've exhausted everything in as far as Western medicine for me. Basically, what do I have to lose? Really, what do I have to lose?
Like Teresa, Marita Brown has stage 4 breast cancer, diagnosed 4 years ago. During that time, she struggled through a bitter divorce and 7 months of chemotherapy that ravaged her body. She says she had no strength to continue work as a school psychologist. The chemo shrank her tumors, but the side effects were brutal.
It was killing me. What good is a shrunken tumor, as I think of it, with a body that's lost its vitality and its will to live? I lost my will to live.
Marita says the chemo also destroyed her fertility, a terrible emotional blow. It was too much. When her doctors urged her to have a mastectomy, she refused, believing that alternative therapies would help without the horrible side effects.
A total diet change, very high dosages of soy, very pure soy, bovine trachea cartilage. I've been dabbling in spiritual and metaphysical concepts for quite a long time.
Marita believes the Eastern thought and medicine she's embraced all her life has kept her alive and functioning. For her, experimenting with Tibetan herbs is a natural.
Isn't that a leap of faith on your part, though? Yes and no. No in that I already know it's helped many people in another part of the world. It has a long history of over 2,500 years, this type of treatment, and I trust that.
For Dr. Tripathi, it is not about trust, just science. If the herbs work, his scans and x-rays will confirm it.
What do you want to get out of this study?
Well, we're looking at many things. We're looking at improving the quality of life.
Lengthening life?
We would like to see something that lengthens life. We'd like to see something that has an anti-tumor response, something that makes the cancer shrink.
Is it possible that these women are too ill for anything to help them?
Yes, that is possible, and that's something we have to consider anytime we look at a new drug.
But Dr. Dhonden is sure he can get results.
I would expect, on the whole, within a matter of a few weeks. If you ask them, they will find some clear benefit.
Teresa and Marita are banking on it. For the next year, Dr. Dhonden and his herbs will be all they have.
You're a good boy, yes.
Teresa faces an awesome foe, cancer that is spread to 11 places in her bones, including an often painful tumor on her hip. She can actually feel another tumor that grows on her chest. High blood pressure and constant pain require daily medication.
What do you want out of this study?
Time. I'm looking for time.
Marita suffers from a growing tumor in her left breast, now the size of a large lemon. Another tumor near her neck is golf ball size.
What's your goal?
I would love to extend my days. I would love to be around for another 30 years. I have so many ideas of how I want to spend the rest of my life.
Both women are praying for time, but also hope the lessons of this coming year will save others from this difficult disease. For the doctor from the West, it's a chance to open a life-saving door in cancer research. For the doctor from the East, a critical test of everything he believes. And for these two courageous women, a gripping battle, body and soul, with their lives on the line.
Taking control.
Award for Excellence in Journalism. The year's most honored television news magazine, Dateline, will be right back.
I have asthma.
Returning to our story, Teresa Wilhelm and Marita Brown, both facing stage 4 breast cancer, have tried everything that Western medicine can offer. Nothing's worked. Now each is taking a gamble that a Tibetan doctor from a remote mountain clinic half a world away can save their lives. Some of his methods will surprise them. The question is, will they work? Again, Margaret Larson.
It is a long and difficult journey to Dharamsala, India, the capital of the exiled Tibetan nation. But the trip is eagerly made by the curious, the faithful, and by the very sick. Many are cancer patients from all corners of the world, drawn here by stories that Tibetan medicine can heal when nothing else has. Are the stories myth or an amazing clue to a cancer cure? Back in the U.S., patients Teresa Wilhelm and Marita Brown are determined to find out.
Teresa and Marita will get much the same treatment for their cancers as any of the thousands of patients who come here to Dr. Dhonden's clinic each year. He won't use any blood tests or high-tech machines to determine the extent of their illness. And when it's time to prescribe treatment, there will be no chemotherapy or radiation, no surgery, no prescription drugs. In fact, nothing that traditional Western medicine considers a worthy weapon against cancer.
What they will get is based on centuries-old Tibetan theory, a belief that 3 factors govern the body. The Tibetans call them wind, related to the nervous system and includes the heart, bile, which relates to the liver and digestive system, and phlegm that influences the organs of the upper body. According to Tibetan teaching, when any of these factors are out of balance, illness results. To discover what's wrong, Dr. Dhonden, like all Tibetan physicians, listens to the patient's body with his fingers, feeling the pulse in both wrists. In this way, he says, he can actually monitor 12 different pulses, giving him information about every major internal organ, such as the heart, liver, and stomach. Then he looks at a sample of the patient's urine, whisking it in a cup to observe the color, the sediment, and the bubbles.
The urine analysis looks very simple. In fact, it's very complicated. There are 9 different aspects of the urine that are investigated and analyzed very, very carefully.
Some patients also get a quick check of the eyes or tongue. That's all Dr. Dhonden needs to make his diagnosis. And the cure seems as simple as the exam: round brown pills, each a formula of as many as 70 herbs, with names like Panjen, Aru, and Supka, herbs virtually unknown in the U.S. That's where Tibetan medicine parts even more dramatically with Western medicine. In the U.S., drugs are mass-produced, the same drugs given to thousands of people. But Tibetan herbs are formulated specifically for each individual patient, aimed at restoring balance to the entire body rather than attacking the disease. In India, Dr. Dhonden has his choice of hundreds of herbal formulas to treat patients.
Most of them are found along the Himalayas in northern India. The herbs used in Tibetan medicine can be very potent indeed, especially in combination.
But as Dr. Dhonden arrives from India to start his work, a huge setback. The FDA has been examining the herbs to be used in the study to make sure they won't cause serious side effects. It's a long, tedious process, and only 49 of the 1,200 herbs Dr. Dhonden uses routinely have been approved. It is a process not required for herbs sold in America. And with the trial about to start, there's no time or funding to wait for more herbs to be okayed. Dr. Dhonden reluctantly agrees to go ahead with just the 49 herbs, the ingredients for his 7 most common cancer formulas.
If you have an almost unlimited number of combinations of